Hey guys, it's Wilson, also known as Design by Will, and before the video starts, make sure to go down and hit the like button and the subscribe button because it helps the channel so much and it brings my video into new viewers' eyes so I can teach a bunch of people and not just you. So stop being selfish and like the video. So now, let's get straight into it. So for today's project, we're going to be redesigning Squid Game x Goku's formal merch design. Overall, Goku is a good brand. They have some good t-shirts and some good designs, but this very collection was very disappointing to me for some reason. Like this gun design is just very sloppy. Like it just seems like they just got to cut out of a gun and put flames at the end, which is exactly what they did, and I'm so disappointed. So without a further ado, make sure you just strap in, get comfortable, because this is going to be a long one. And I'm not going to be teaching anything. I'm also just going to be showing you my process for this project. So let's get straight into it. So the first thing we have to do is obviously we have to find our images and do some research. Now, for some reason, this was way harder than I thought. I finally gave up and started going on Google. And these are the images that we have. So this is going to be for the first design. I got a couple of more images that I have, but these were going to be the main focus pieces for this design project. And I'm just going to go in with my pen tool and I'm going to start cutting out everything, which takes an hour out of my day, out of every single image. I swear to God, it's so long cutting out images. So right now what I'm doing is basically I've got a rough cutout of both the main characters, but cutting out hair is very tricky. So I'm going to do this technique. It's basically where you go in with a small brush and you take out most of the background or most of the stuff in the mask layer, and then you go back in and draw in back the hair, because masking out all this hair would take ages. And there are better ways of doing it, but this was just the way I thought of at the moment. And by now it was like 10 o'clock at night, so I was just sick of this cutting out already. So let me just skip forward to what I mean by drawing in the hair. So basically what I've done is I've made a new layer, and in that layer I've just copied the color of his hair, and I'm just going in with a very fine brush on my tablet and just drawing in each individual stroke. Now, a lot of professionals do this when they're doing magazines and they have to cut out women's hair or men's long hair when it's a lot longer and not matted together. Like my hair, obviously, when I have my dreads or braids. So yeah, I'm just drawing in individual hairs so it looks like I was able to cut out the hair. I got a reference image on the side of me just so I don't make him look too crazy. But I don't have to make this perfect because I'm going to be making sort of a grunge vintage design anyway. So yeah. So now that we got our images cut out and looking all pretty and nice, it's time to formulate where I want my images to be and who I want to be the focal point. So I don't really have a main character in mind that I want to make the focal point. I want to make sure everyone can see everything. So I've put the main players in the front, which draws your attention because you know who they are. Then I got the runner man, or the people who take the orders, in the middle, just to break up the visual space between the black and the green, because I'm going to put the headmaster at the top of everyone. So basically I'm just following the same layout that Goku has in terms of the triangle format, because it works very efficiently. And yeah, and I can also hide the guy because he's half of his body is missing, which is super annoying. So when you're playing with elements in design, you want to make sure it looks the best because you're able to hide the imperfections, because they don't have feet. So I'm going to be cutting their feet out anyway. And if someone's missing a torso, you want to put them behind somebody who isn't. So it looks natural enough to the point where you're hiding stuff. But if somebody zooms in or looks in like I'm doing right now, they can't really tell. So now that we got our main design elements here and we got our main focal points and the layout that we want, it's time to actually start designing. So first I'm going to start by adding some more elements. I found the $5,000 bill or whatever currency that Korea has. Sorry, I forgot to do my research on that. And I'm basically going to be adding it into the design. So it's the playing on the motif of Squid Game. So you're sacrificing your life to potentially win money. So that's basically the theme of this design. A lot of grunge, a lot of, I don't know if I want to add blood into it yet, but a lot of those themes and those ideas of Squid Game and what it displays in its Netflix show, I'm just basically recreating that into one image for a t-shirt. So that's my thinking process for this whole project. Now, I'm not going to go in depth of how I do all this because I have a bunch of videos explaining step by step how to make a vintage t-shirt. If you want to watch the best one I possibly have on my channel, it's the first video with Pop Smoke. I go through exactly what to look for when you want to make a call out, a focal point, how to do the background, everything. So yeah, if you want to watch what I'm doing in depth and you want to learn in depth, go watch that video with Pop Smoke. First video on my channel, and you'll learn exactly what I'm doing. I basically had this idea of getting the actual game objects from Squid Game and adding them into the design, like some sort of, I don't know, just not a focal piece, I would say, more so a call out piece or something that draws your attention. And like these white geometric shapes that they have in the game were perfect for this. So I could use the circle one to highlight the headmaster, and then the triangle and the triangle and square one to play into that triangle theme that I'm having. So you're looking at the top man, which is at the very pinnacle. I could have put the grandpa there. Spoiler alert, the grandpa rings. He's a ringleader of the Squid Game. Like, he owns it. He's basically a pimp at that point. So yeah, I could have done that, but I felt like this looked way cooler and it just matched the theme that I was going for in terms of design. So that's basically why I added those triangles and shapes in there, is because they're actually from the game. It's just basically another motif. And I'm going to be continuing this motif throughout this whole project. One issue I was running into a lot when I was designing this project is which titles was I going to use? Was I going to use the Korean, or was I going to use the English? I ended up using the English mainly because I couldn't find a good image of the Korean. Like, I tried to put it through Illustrator and using the image trace tool, and it was not working at all. And a lot of people were saying, "Oh, Wilson, you could have just made it from scratch." And I'm like, but I don't want to. I wanted to make it easy. Like, the English one, I just put it through image trace, color, and it worked perfectly. Now that I think of it, I could have done that with the Korean one too, but I wasn't thinking at this point. I was just looking for the easiest option. If this was a client project, never think of that. Always take the time to put in and get the best quality out of your work. Because if you're spending 100 hours on a project, you don't want it to look trash. You want to put in the time to make it look perfect for the person, because they've trusted you to do a good job, so you might as well deliver. Now, this design that you're looking at right now is basically complete. I'm just trying to add in textures, and the way I'm doing it is basically I'm getting a textured background of Unsplash or Google, and then I'm putting a levels adjustment on top of it to make it all white and crackly and stuff like that. Then I'm basically converting that to a smart object, and then putting that on top of the design and changing the blending mode to look like it's cracking. When you look like those fake vintage shirts are like cracking a little bit, and that's basically how you get the effect. So if you go and get like a wood texture, put that threshold on top of it, it makes that type of look and that type of feel. I actually got a question about this in my DMs, and that's just how you do it. Or ripped washed effect. That's what I'm trying to look for. Getting that ripped washed effect in your designs, and that's how you do it. We basically have our design completed for design one. At this point, I'm just adding in different elements to see what could look better, and I'm taking a step back and observing what I could adjust and change. The one thing I want to change is that background. I hate those people. You can't really tell what it is. So I'm probably going to make it like a cloud or something to imitate where they played that game where they have to cut out the objects out of candy. So basically, that's what I'm doing at the moment. So basically, now I'm just going in and seeing where I could add highlights and shadows. I already did that kind of. So the way I did it was I converted the whole design into a smart object, and then I clicked on select color range, clicked on all the white, and then I just added all the white parts into a new layer and set it to blur to make it look like it's glowing. And I applied that to also the money to make it look like it's glowing. Play on that game effect, that game theme when you're going into an arcade. And now I'm seeing if I could add that glowing light that they have around the money, the winning prize money, when you look at all the adverts they have for Squid Game. But I don't really like it, so I might just take it off in general and just keep it how it is, because right now it's looking really nice, especially with the blues and the pinks. So basically, this is design one, with all the layer adjustments on top. It's looking nice. It's looking good. I really loved how this turned out. Now it's time to get into design two. For design two, I want to focus on the entry for Squid Game. So you have to play that game, and if the guy beats you, he can give you money. If you lose, you have to go in depth, and he can slap your face, I guess. And this is really cool. So I wanted to focus on that motif because I found out when I was looking at all these other designs, they didn't really focus on that motif of the entry of Squid Game. So I really want to focus on that and get like a retro 70 look off that, I guess. First thing is first, we basically have to cut out our images and get them ready for designing. For this one, I just have this hand that I found off Unsplash holding a deck of cards, which is perfect. And then um, I think the game is called Dijoki. Sorry, I'm not even gonna try. Actually, nah, I'm done. Not even gonna try. There's little cards. I found one on Google basically. And I'm basically going to download that, convert that into a mock-up. So using the shadows and highlights. Now that we got our main elements cut out, I'm just going to arrange them to look natural. Um, Honestly, I could have spent a little more time adding a little bit more shadows and highlights here and there on this actual part of the hand and the part where he's holding the cards where the fingers join. It looks kind of weird there, so I could have spent more time there. But overall, this is going to be a pretty simple design. Just have that as the main focal point and some text, and that's it. A lot of the elements in this design are just going to be replicated from design one. So I'm just taking all those adjustment layers that I put on design one, dropping them into here and just putting them on top so all my designs have cohesion. They need to not look the same, but they need to feel the same throughout this project. That's why I'm not adding anything new. It's mainly the same elements that I put on top. Maybe remove some because they don't fit the actual design that I want to go for. For this one, I want to make it look a little bit more clean than the other one. But yeah, just keep in mind when you're designing a collection of clothing, you need cohesion. What I'm doing at the moment is basically I'm making like a chrome text look onto my main titles and the other visual elements that I'm going to put into this design, just because it looked a little bit too empty and I didn't know what to add. And I also didn't want it to look too similar to design one, where it's just a vintage graphic t-shirt. I want this one to look a little bit more different, so I'm going for that vintage look, but a different era of vintage. Now I finally got my chrome text how I want it to look. I really love these colors. It has that pink and blue color tone that's in the hands and in the deck of the card, so it's still matching that. But these look really cool. I really love how this title turned out in terms of the design. And it really matches that 70 themes. Now, if you guys want to do this effect, I have the map pack 49, and you can follow along in my previous video on how to do this effect and turn it into streetwear. And this is a good implication of it. And it can be utilized in a lot of different ways, actually. You just need to be smart about it and think about it. So basically what I'm doing now is I'm gonna add those motifs of those geometric shapes into this design also, and I'm gonna make them chrome the same as the font, because that effect looks super sick, and I feel like that's the missing element in this design, because it still looks a little bit too empty. And I know a lot of people love minimalist design, but I'm not one of those people. I love a busy design, especially when it comes to streetwear. You want it to be bold, stand out. But when you want like a more low-key tone, you can do that also with this design. Like I could have just kept it the Squid Game title. But yeah, I want this one to stand out a lot. So yeah, that's basically the design. I have both my designs, design 1 and design 2 ready. And without further ado, I'm just going to skip this part because I do it all the time. Just put it onto the mock-ups, and then we'll go to the judging panel. So we have here design 1, which is the classic vintage t-shirt, front facing, no back design. What you see is what you get. Out of a 9 out of 10, out of a 10 out of 10 for this one, I would go for a solid 7.5. Now, this design looks super cool, and I would rock it any day of the week. The one thing that's throwing me off a little too much in terms of this design is a lot of pink. Now, I wanted to add the pink as an accent and a highlight against the blue, because pink and blue is a motif for it. And you can see it a lot within the design, and I don't really like it, so if I were to go back and edit it, just take out a little bit more pink. And design 2, I give this one a solid 10 out of 10. This design looks sick, and I just put a poll up on my Instagram. If you guys want me to put these shirts into production, I can do that for this design, just because I'm within the bounds of copyright for this project. I don't know about design 1. Design 1 will for sure get copyrighted, but this one looks fine to me because it's still Squid Game, but I brought all these elements into the design myself. So yeah, that's it. I want you guys to rate the designs in the comments, so let me know what you guys thought in the comments. Is mine better than Goat Crew's? Is Goat Crew's better? Well, at the end of the day, design is subjective. People could go into Culture Kings or something and see the Goat Crew designs and be like, yeah, I want that. That's it. And then look at mine and be like, that's trash. But to me, I honestly think I did a better job. I don't know. So let me guys know what you guys think in the comments. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys when I see you. Peace.